Good afternoon and welcome to the Claw Studio here at the Royal Opera House. My name is Chloe Miller-Smith and I have the pleasure today of introducing this very special insight, The Legacy of Nijinska. This insight examines the powerful legacy of a choreographer much neglected in the history of 20th century dance, overshadowed by the fame of her brother, the legendary dancer Václav Nijinsky, and battling opportunity undermined by gender. Nijinska stands today as an uncompromising and pioneering figure of modern ballet. Her landmark works include Les Noces, Les Biches, and Le Trembleu, and her magnificent collaborations with the likes of fashion designer Coco Chanel and composer Igor Stravinsky went on to inspire the choreographers who took up the creative baton in the 20th century, such as stalwarts of the Royal Ballet Frederick Ashton and Georges Balanchine. Curated by the choreographer Avatara Ayuso, today's insight will feature rehearsals for dancers from the Royal Ballet, the Royal Ballet School, and from the Ballet de Santiago, the national company of Chile. We'll also be joined by the former wonderful director of the Royal Ballet, Dame Monica Mason, and dance historian Lynn Garofalo, author of La Nijinska, choreographer of the modern. In this centenary year of Les Noces, one of Nijinska's most emblematic works, this event is a timely celebration of an inspirational artist. Now, to talk to you further about this special insight, please join me in welcoming Director of the Royal Ballet, Kevin O'Hare, and choreographer and curator of today, Avatara Ayuso. Avatara, thank you for being here. Kevin, what an amazing few hours we have coming up.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's wonderful to see so many people here, and it is a really important moment to celebrate this extraordinary artist. And so I'm delighted that we've got so many people coming together as well to do this. And it could have only been done by Avatara. She's been brilliant. Her energy, passion to make this happen has been extraordinary. So huge thank you to you. And also I'd love to say a huge thanks to the Royal Opera House and the Royal Ballet team, because we're streaming it live, which is fantastic. So we'll get as many people to see this as possible. And then I'd like to have a warm welcome to Lynn and to Carmen and the dancers of Chile, who you've worked with, and we're so happy that they're here with the Royal Ballet School to give us that insight into this amazing woman.
They've travelled a long way. Absolutely. Avatara will lead you to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to this event celebrating the fantastic Bronislava Nijinska. Nijinska was a choreographer that changed the landscape of ballet in the 20th century. It was an artist who fought for her art until the end of her days, that developed her choreographic career in a male-dominated world, and that was known to most of us as the sister of the great Václav Nijinsky. And the fact that you are here today to celebrate Nijinska says a lot about who you are. Women and men that believe that the past needs to be acknowledged in order to understand the present and also build the future of our sector. And this is what legacy is about. Legacy comes from the Latin word legatus, ambassador. A deputy is someone that has the responsibility to share and spread the message beyond themselves. So I see the concept of legacy as an action word, not as a static term, kind of a leap from the past to the future that happens when we transmit knowledge, when we reinterpret, and when we find new meanings. And the importance of today's event lies not only in the fact that we are going to celebrate Nijinska, it is also about giving her historical justice. And for a woman that was forgotten, that was left aside, and that at points probably discriminated against artistically. And Nijinska flourished under the umbrella of three patrons, Sergei Diaghilev, Ida Rubinstein, and the Marqués de Cuevas. But very soon after, she was left in a kind of limbo where everyone knew she had existed, but no one really knew what she had done for the ballet in the 20th century. And today we are bringing her back to center stage where she deserves to be. And she's going to connect with us with her achievements, but also her commitment towards our art form. And she left us an incredible legacy. And it is now up to us to embrace it, embrace that legacy, and become her legatus, her ambassadors of her art, of her vision, and give her the recognitions that she deserves to allow her to shine and also inspire future generations. So what can you expect today? So hopefully a delight for your senses. We hope to stimulate your brain, your heart, and also your soul by taking you into a journey where you're going to get to know Nijinska on a personal level, but also on an artistic level. And we have prepared a selection of choreographic extracts, images from the 10s to the 60s, some extracts of her video extracts of her work, personal letters, discussions, and first-hand reflections from people that worked with her. And I'm very aware that there are many people out there in the United States, in Russia, here in the UK, that deserve to be here with us to share their expertise. And I'm very sorry we don't have more space, more time. You know, I wish that we could have a whole weekend to celebrate Nijinska. So, yeah, which I asked for that, but it was not possible. So to these people, please, you know, keep on disseminating the work and her legacy, because your contributions really, really matter. And before we bring our first guest, I, of course, want to thank the director of the Royal Ballet, Kevin O'Hare, for being so open to hosting this event. And 3 women from the Royal Opera House team that have been working tirelessly over the few months behind the scenes with me to make this event a memorable one. And that's Rachel Hollins, Emma Head, and Aislinn Henihan. Thank you for putting your heart and your soul into this. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone today lives with a little bit of Nijinska in their hearts. And there is no better way than starting the day with 2 outstanding women that know Nijinska in a different capacity, one as a researcher and one as a dancer. So it is my pleasure to welcome former director of the Royal Ballet, Dame Monica Mason, and dance historian and author of the first biography of Nijinska, Professor Lynn Garafola. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Avatara. And thank you, the Royal Opera House, to the Royal Ballet team, and to the audience for making this a really thrilling event. My book was published during the pandemic, and so it existed in kind of cyberspace, whereas now I feel it exists in reality.
And yeah, this is the book, the outstanding book that Lynn wrote on Bronislava, called La Nijinska. And Lynn, you've been working on this book for quite a few years, I believe. And we don't have a few hours for you to tell us who Nijinska was. But if you had, you know, a few minutes, what is it that you would say about her early career and the key moments of her life?
Well, I think it's important to see that she had a very long professional life. We say that her most important ballets were ballets of the 1920s, ballets that she did for Serge Diaghilev. But in fact, she had a career as a choreographer that began in Kyiv in the late 1910s, and that ended as an active choreographer in 1960 when she did an ill-fated Sleeping Beauty for the Marquis de Cuevas that she took her name off. She did several important ballets for Ida Rubinstein. She did important ballets for the Polish Ballet, a company that was formed in the mid-1930s. She choreographed for the de Basile company, and she had her own companies, several companies, because they were very short-lived. So I think it's very important to see that she remained active throughout her life, despite what I would call a double diaspora, that is the first emigration from the early years of the Soviet Union. She was living in Kyiv, to Western Europe, and then in 1939, when she left when she left actually from here, England, to go to the United States. And I would say that that second diaspora was one that she was never fully able to recover from.
That was she went to America.
That is when she went to America. Not only did she go to America, stay as most emigres, Russian emigres in the ballet world did in New York City, she decided there were, or someone decided in her family, that there were too many competitors teaching in New York City, and therefore they should really go to Southern California. And there are some very funny letters from her where she says, the weather is wonderful, it's great, but basically she wanted to be back in Europe. Mm-hmm. So she always felt a little bit like a fish out of water in the United States, although during the 1940s she collaborated with ballet theater, with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, the Denim Company, began with the Marquis de Cuevas. So she was active the whole way as a choreographer and very importantly, as a teacher. Because she, as a teacher and a coach, for instance, the line of ballerinas that she worked with, even though she could be horrible to women in the studio, the line of ballerinas she worked with, from Alicia Markova to Rosella Hightower, her students such as Allegra Kent, the two Tall Chief sisters, Marjorie and Maria. These were people whom she transformed in certain respects into very powerful, virtuosic artists. And that too is something that doesn't get written about very much. It's something that remains within the family of the studio, in this personal relationship between teacher and dancer.
And Lynn, your book starts kind of when she got her first contract, let's say, with the Ballet of Diaghilev. How was the relationship between Nijinska and her brother and Diaghilev? What was going on there?
Well, the most important person, I think, in her world from the time she was very young was her brother Václav. So we're going to call him her brother Václav, not his sister Bronia. And Václav was someone who was, of course, a virtuosic dancer. She worked much harder to achieve her goals as a dancer. He was the one who was favored by Diaghilev and was transformed into a choreographer, although very interestingly, the clay on which he modeled his quest for movement was Nijinska, and it was through her work on Afternoon of a Faun for him and with him, and on the Chosen Maiden solo in The Rite of Spring, that she really learned what it was to be a choreographer. She didn't really learn how to be a choreographer, but the consciousness of what it was like to search for movement in one's own body, movement that in many ways was authentic to yourself and beyond simply what you had learned in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. And Monica, you had the privilege of working with Nijinska when she came to the Royal Ballet in the 60s, invited by Sir Frederick Ashton to do a revival of Les Biches and Les Noces. She was almost in her 70s, I believe. So can you tell us a little bit more about the type of energy she transmitted in the studio and how she managed the space?
Well, I think that, firstly, the company was called together by Frederick Ashton, and he spoke to us all about his thrill at having persuaded her to come to London and to mount Biche and Noces for us. And he spoke about his admiration for her, and he said how he'd been inspired by her, and that without her, he wouldn't have been a choreographer. Mm. So that was sort of really major for us. So immediately we knew to expect somebody of genius to walk through the door. And when she arrived, of course, we were all very a little anxious and nervous and unsure. She was always accompanied by her husband, who had a little black book, which he kept in his inside pocket of his jacket. And it was quite clear, I think, right from the beginning, that she really preferred the men to the women. That was made abundantly clear, actually. and I know, from speaking personally, I got into that little black book a couple of times. And I felt very unjustly because I didn't think I'd done anything wrong at all. But she had a way of staring into your soul. She would stand quite still in front of you and look penetratingly into you, which was a bit wobbly making. But, you know, from the start, the fact that she had tackled these two ballets, two such different scores, you know, the Poulenc and the Stravinsky, so different, but with such energy, such clarity of thought and intention. And so I think it was, for all of us, everyone in the company who was involved in these two, and we did Biches first, and then she came back later and did Les Noces for us. So by the time it was Les Noces, we were a little bit more accustomed to her, but of course she didn't really speak much English, in fact hardly at all. So in the case of Les Noces, she used Svetlana Beryosova a lot to interpret for her. And otherwise, Michael Soames, who was a ballet master and an assistant director actually at the time, he was right by her side the whole time. And how he managed to do it, I think to this day we don't quite know, because she couldn't really demonstrate, but she gave the impression with Les Noces particularly of the earthiness and the weight to the movement. And with Les Biches, it was frivolous and very much the 20s, full of nonsense. And the contrast of these two works couldn't have been more marked.
Thank you. And Lynn, we know that she was an incredible dancer with a very polished technique and very expressive, very versatile. But it seems that she was open to interpret male roles as well. And I believe that she replaced her brother Nijinska at some point. So can you elaborate more about this exploration of the also androgeneity in her work?
I think there's a great play of gender in her work, but there was also an interest in playing some certain male roles. Her daughter Irina claimed that in 1922, Diaghilev asked her to play the faun in her brother's Afternoon of a Faun, and that she didn't want to. I find that hard to believe, because Nijinska could be very stubborn. In fact, that's one of the reasons she often had fights with Diaghilev. He could reduce her to tears, of course, but the only one probably. But that was a role that she played in 1922, in 1923. She never talked about it later on. Her daughter would treat it as though it was somehow an embarrassment. Yet there are some drawings by Larionov, who was in the studio during the rehearsals, showing Diaghilev and Nijinska doing this. And it meant that the ballet stayed in repertory. The other male role that I would like to talk about, which we know so little about, but it must have been a fascinating role and a fascinating ballet, was Hamlet. This was a role that she did in a ballet she created in 1934 to the Hamlet music by Liszt, augmented with other music, and she played the title role. It was obviously not. She read a great deal about the play. She read it. She knew the play in Russian, but this was her role. And even though it was only performed a few times, the company collapsed shortly after its first performance. This is in 1934. Nevertheless, she kept writing in her diary that she is so proud that whatever happened, the financial catastrophe and everything else, she had created her Hamlet. So this was clearly so important to her, and I've never seen a single photograph. So this is, I think, part of what I felt when I was writing the book, that there were all of these ballets that we really don't know what they were, but had these that were all different, and that had these really important things to them, and were aesthetically fascinating.
And Lynn, well, Les Biches with music by Poulenc was premiered in 1924 in Monte Carlo, and it was a huge success. But it was in that ballet where she really challenged female stereotypes, right? One of them was the hostess, which Monica will tell us later about that. You know, a woman in power that flirts with the men on stage, that is smoked, independent. And Nijinska created that role for herself. We've got a picture at the back there. What was Nijinska telling us about her vision for women on stage?
I think she was often offering a kind of constellation of women in that ballet, which makes it so interesting. There is this kind of mannish, powerful figure of the hostess, who does a lot of steps that in that time were really thought of as kind of male steps. Then so that in a sense is the woman she had become. I think of the girl in blue, the garçon, that means the girl boy, the boyish girl, as a ballerina figure that she had refused to be, but that she was kind of fascinated by, and that connects with a number of the ballerinas that she worked with over the next several years. And then the girls in gray as being innocent, young, very attached to one another, possibly with some erotic interest, but maybe not. And that was the girl she had been. So I see this as a ballet in which, in some measure, Nijinska invested, one might say, elements of her own autobiography, looking back.
And here we're going to have also a picture of Monica as the hostess there. Beautiful. We also have Darcy Basil in that role.
Yes.
And we also have Zenaida Janowski as well in that role. And you can have now a look at the four of them. Beautiful. So Monica, you know, as we said, she created that role on herself. Then she transmitted it to Ninette de Valois, I believe, that role. And at some point in the 60s, that role was passed on to you by Nijinska with all the dancers, I'm aware. So what do you remember of this role, and what was Nijinska looking for?
Well, it was first of all danced by Svetlana Beryosova, who was quite wonderful in it. I mean, she was a ballerina that I hugely admired. I was a young soloist at the time, and Svetlana, of course, could communicate with Nijinska so easily. And there was something slightly mysterious about Svetlana herself. She was an émigré. She was born in Lithuania. She came to England via France. And so for me, there was some special mystery and some allure to Svetlana. And of course, this was exactly the sort of qualities that were necessary for the hostess, because I think the hostess is very mysterious creature in a way, because we don't really know whether that house party is a legitimate house party or there's something slightly not quite right about this house party. And who are all these young ladies in pink? And I mean, so beautifully designed by Marie Laurencin. And but the colors, everything was, I think, spoke of the 20s in France at the time. And but as Lynn has said about the mysteriousness of the two girls and also the men, we're not quite sure who the men are and why they're in bathing costumes, and have they just come in off the beach, or is it suggestive of something else? And her relationship with the two men that she eventually dances with, and how she beckons them. And there was a wonderful moment one day when we were in the studio, and Nijinska wanted to show Svetlana exactly how she wanted to encourage these young men to come towards her. And she raised her hand, which of course had her pearls attached to her hand, but it was this first finger, you weren't quite sure whether it actually called them or whether it was just raised anyway. But it was so subtle. And she did this whole scene for us, the most wonderful non-expression on her face, because she really had no expression at all. The eyes gave something away, but the face was really almost straight, just plain. But the allure of her was quite extraordinary. Well, we were so enamored of this moment. We asked her to do it again, and she refused. And she was a one-show girl. And then later on, we tried to get her. She actually did it eventually, with Svetlana persuading her. So we saw it twice. And I have to say, I can see it now. I mean, it is a very long time ago, but it's so vivid in my memory.
And Lynn, before we go and see Monica rehearsing with one of the dancers of Royal Ballet, is there anything you want to say about this role, about the hostess?
About the hostess, I think it's a wonderful role. Nijinska never said it was the hostess. There are some letters that she wrote taking issue with reviews during these very important revivals, saying that this is, as some people are even saying, it's a brothel. It has nothing to do with any of this. It is simply a rag mazurka. It's a this. She would only refer to the roles through their musical, through their music. And it's so interesting that she didn't want to embrace the ambiguity that she herself had choreographed and insisted upon and demonstrated in these roles.
Okay. So I think it's time for Monica to take the stage.
Okay.
And I think Chloe is going to introduce the dancers.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Very much.
I'll come back to you in a second. Thank you so much there to Lynn, of course to Monica and to Avatara for leading that really fascinating discussion. As Avatara let us know, next we're going to see a rehearsal of The Hostess in Les Biches, led by Monica, who of course we know has plenty of experience in the role. And she's going to be rehearsing with soloist of the Royal Ballet, Hannah Granell. So please welcome them now. Pass you a mic, because I just have one question for you. As a dancer, we've heard, of course, Monica's experience, but I wonder what it is for you that's special about Nijinska's work.
I think for me, it's the fact that the character is really driven fast. It's such classical work still, but for something, you know, that we do so often, it's really the depth of the character. And like Monica was saying, it's mysterious, especially the role mazurka, hostess. There's so much depth, there's layer, and I feel like with Nijinska's work, there is that throughout. In Les Noces as well, there's such beauty, but mysteriousness, and there's ambiguity and fluidness, and I think it's really incredible to explore that as a dancer, especially because you can be so human. You're not having to be a fairy or an ethereal creature, you're being a person. Which we can bring that into very classical roles as fairies and nymphs and all those roles. But I think there's something so beautiful about the realism in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see it. We've heard a lot, and now we're going to see a lot. I must also welcome on the piano Ellie Walsh, who is here, and I'll just pass over to you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Monica.
So I've been hanging on to these because these, you have to imagine, are pearls. So I'm putting them around Hannah's neck, and this is a perfect cigarette holder. Yes? Teaching this role is very special to me because having learnt it with Nijinska in the room, but I have to say I was third cast. So Svetlana was first, Diane Bergsma, a great friend of mine, was second cast, and I was third. And because I had obviously upset Nijinska in some way at some point, she told Michael Soames that as time went on, and if the ballet came back into the repertoire, that she was okay about me doing the role, but that I wasn't to do it while she was in London. So, you know, one is ever grateful for tiny little drops. So I thought, when Les Biches comes back into the repertoire, please, may I do the role? And so I did. And then, of course, it was wonderful to do. I then actually taught Darcy, and I taught Zenaida. And, I mean, everybody loved to do this ballet. And, of course, the musicality is extraordinary. I think that the fact that she worked so easily, I mean, she made many, many ballets, but the fact that she worked in these two examples that you'll see today so easily with Poulenc, and the accents, the nuances that she finds in the music are so subtle and so brilliant. And then for Les Noces, of course, it's something else, which you'll see later on. The fact that Nijinska worked some of this role out on Ninette de Valois, for me, means an incredible link again. Ninette was director of the company when I joined in the 50s, and Ninette also spoke at one time about the influence of Nijinska on her and how working with her had been an incredible experience. She spoke about the finger variation in The Sleeping Beauty, which Nijinska had redone, and de Valois danced it. And then, of course, de Valois used to rehearse us, and I did the finger variation. And she used to talk about the movement that was wanted for it. And then in Lynn's book, there is a reference to that variation and what Nijinska was looking for. So I feel very, very privileged and fortunate to have had the experience of knowing this great woman and understanding her work as much as I possibly can. We have had probably about 8 hours on this variation, yes. And I thought that before we do it, because it isn't something that we can do and then do again, because it's really very, very puffy. But I wanted Hannah just to show, just in the very beginning, Hannah, without the music, just show catch, 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 battu. And the upper body is so fluid and so conversational. Yes, that's not at all how you normally do battery, I have to say. So she used classical steps, but into it she wove the idea that the room was full of people and that she was having these conversations and turning her back on people, engaging with someone and then turning away from them, involved with herself sometimes. But it so illustrates a woman, a mature woman, confident and enjoying herself, I think. We were asked, I never smoked, but the cigarette in the cigarette holder was lit. It was sellotaped in within an inch of its life as well. And we were asked on the intro, which is just 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we were supposed to have breathed in and then be able to exhale out of the wings before we came on. This was the last thing I need as a non-smoker. So anyway, we have got our pearls, we've got our cigarette holder, and I think we're going to now do it. Yes, you better, yes. I asked Hannah if she could wear something that related a little bit to, so she's come in a lacy top. And of course the dress was a beautiful lemon color and long, but the pearls, which I doubt whether we've looked at them particularly in the photographs, there were strings and strings. There must have been about 8 or 10 strings of pearls. And when you got into your costume, you needed somebody wonderful from the wardrobe sewing every single row of pearls through your costume, but with loops big enough so that they could move but not knock your teeth out. And these pearls came down and down and down and down till the final ones were really on the skirt. I mean, it was extraordinary. Once you were in that costume, there was no taking the costume off. You had to just get on with it. So the pearls, that's one lot of pearls, and of course the cigarette, and we're off. And Ellie, am I right in saying you played this piece of music for your audition to join the staff of the Royal Ballet? But Ellie, I'm so thrilled because Ellie is the newest member of the staff of the music department here in the Royal Ballet Company. And we've had lots of fun. She's really enjoyed playing this. So now I'm going to go and sit down and let Hannah take over. Thank you very much. That's exactly how you feel at that moment, completely pooped. And then this is the moment, of course, where these two young men come back on in their rather chic bathing costumes, and she raises. And so, of course, you're going, really, but you're looking like absolutely nothing's happening. Yes, so cool. That was, you did very well. Good girl. And thank you, Ellie, because that's a tough play. Yeah. I mean, a thing I didn't say before was one of the things I was absolutely astonished to consider is that de Valois spoke about the fact that Nijinska danced this role, and sometimes she danced it not in point shoes, but in little heeled shoes. And the idea that you would do all these beats with heels, I just thought your ankles would have been shredded. You know, it must have been so difficult. So, I mean, it's hard enough because you've got to point your feet all the time. But to do it in heels, I think must have been the most difficult thing. Yes? And of course, all of the beats were, I think, really particularly probably steps that Nijinsky loved doing. Because battery, that amount of battery is not something that most women are asked ever to do. You know, I don't think there's a beat in the whole of Swan Lake. And their sort of masses of entrechat don't come into the Sleeping Beauty. Les Sylphides, you know, the ballets that she was involved with. This is why I think it was so fascinating to think that where did this come from? How did she develop it? And of course, when you're hearing la da 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 da, somehow, because now we know it's these beats, it sounds like beats, but it also sounds like chatting. So it's a combination of these small, just off the floor, not big jumps. One of the things Nijinska spoke about was the fact that she said, my brother didn't ever plie. Now, you know, we're all taught that you plie before you leave the floor. And in order to jump higher, you know, you really use your plie. And she constantly was saying, no plie, no plie, just jump. Just jump. So this was how, so of course this is what I've been saying to Hannah. Don't plie, Hannah, just jump. Yeah, so I think that's it. I don't think we've got anything more to show you because that was an extreme test of stamina. Thank you, Hannah.
No, thank you.
It's been great fun working with you. It's been really super. And thank you again, Ellie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much there to Monica and to Hannah, of course, and Ellie on the piano. I, for one, am inspired to add pearls to all of my outfits. I hope you are too. And what a treat as well to hear what it was actually like to work with Nijinska, even if she didn't want always to be working with you. Back with us now is choreographer Avatara Ayuso to talk about her work on the first full-length biopic ballet about Nijinska and to share her reflections on what she learned from the experience. We'll also be watching a rehearsal of Avatara's work with dancers who have come especially from the Santiago Ballet, the National Ballet of Chile. I must say, thank you to the Chilean Embassy of London, the Anglo-Chilean Society and the Teatro Municipal Nacional Opera de Chile for their support. And of course, many thanks to the dancers for being willing to travel here and to be part of this special event. Thank you.
So when I became aware of my ignorance regarding the life of Nijinska, I immediately felt embarrassed, quite angry with the sector that had overlooked her for so long. And I thought, you know, how could a woman with the years of experience in the dance sector like me was so unaware of her amazing creative achievements? So I felt a sense of duty to make sure that everyone knew that she was a trailblazer and how much she had influenced and shaped our art form. So my strategy to accomplish this mission was to create a full-length ballet on her life. Of course, not a simple task, I know, especially when you're an independent choreographer and you don't have 45 dancers and a full orchestra to hand. So I talked about this project with the General Director of the Theatre of Chile, Carmen Gloria Larenas, here with us today. And we were very, very aware of the risks. You know, the audience, you know, how could we enthuse that audience that didn't know about her? And there was no other company in the world that had done this before, so there were no points of reference to follow. So Carmen Gloria said, okay, it is risky, but let's go ahead. As an organization, we also have a duty to give visibility to those that came before us. So as soon as Carmen Gloria gave me the green light, I embarked on a long research process with my dramaturg Ignacio Blemin to understand who Nijinska was beyond this sister of. So we read a lot of history, dance books, visited archives, museums, interviewed some of those that had worked with her, and I know some of you came all the way from America here, so thank you for that. We watched documentaries, talked to music consultants, read, reread, and reread the book of Lynn, and last but not least, endless hours of internet searching. So the priority before going into the stage with the dancers was to understand her historical, political, artistic, social, and personal context. So then I traveled to Chile, and I spent several weeks sharing with the dancers, with the 45 dancers, the knowledge and research I had gathered. And I wanted them to take a kind of a deep dive into her world and understand the mission that we had on our hands. So 5 weeks later, Nijinska, the ballet, was born. And here is a taster of the result. So I'm very grateful to Carmen Gloria Larenas and the Ballet de Santiago for taking on board this creative challenge, and all the collaborators, Chino Gonzalez doing the costume and set design, Ricardo Castro, wonderful lighting, Pablo Ajaronian, the 20th century dance consultant, Pedro Pablo Prudencio directing the orchestra, and Ignacio Bleming, my dramaturg that has been working with me for 12 years. But also, I feel very, very extremely privileged to have worked with Edimar Acevedo, which portrayed the role of Nijinska, because at 55 years old, and after 17 years of not stepping foot on stage, she came back like a tornado and really put her soul onto this role of Nijinska. So from here, thank you very much, Edimar. When I started this journey, I never expected to end up so empowered, inspired, moved, more committed than ever to dance, and deeply awakened by Nijinska's radical thinking. She was a truly, and she is, an avant-garde artist in her creations, but also in how she managed her career. By now, I actually feel that she's in every single cell of my body. I know she is. And, you know, to follow this metaphor of the legatus, the ambassador, I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned on this journey. Nijinska was telling stories very relevant to her time. It was not enough for her to tell stories about fairies and girly love affairs. She spoke about the realities of her life, the drama of marriage in the Russian peasant communities, the superfluous reach of the French Riviera, the exuberance and sexiness of women in power, the androgyny of some of her characters. She was very, very connected with her time. And this is the first lesson we can learn from Nijinska. You know, the world around speaks to you, so do not neglect it. She also wanted her dancers to be thinkers, not mere reproducers of movement. She wanted them to contribute to the creative process, to improvise, to have a voice and an opinion. So lesson number 2, let's treat our dancers as human beings by giving them creative autonomy and create a collaborative, creative process. Nijinska was not afraid of saying no. We've heard that from Lynn and Monica. But in order to be true to her artistic values, yeah? Being a woman in a world where men were in power probably brought her a reputation of being difficult. But this uncompromising approach to her art is what made her the great artist she was. So lesson number 3, fight for what you believe in no matter what. And I very much empathize with this one, very much. She also overcame lots of struggles in her life, not only on a personal level with the death of her son, but also creatively. She left her children with her mother in order to be able to develop her career as a choreographer. Some of her ideas were appropriated by other choreographers as well. She struggled to have her work programmed after a certain age, and when dancing, she was judged by the way she looked, not always by her craft. So, yes, she suffered a bit of lack of childcare, appropriation, ageism, sexism, etc., etc. And I'm sure these experiences still feel very familiar to us women in the dance sector today. And all this in between 3 wars that made her a refugee. And nevertheless, she kept on going and believing in herself, in her talent, until the end of her days. So lesson number 4, believe in yourself, and when being judged or oppressed, don't forget to speak up. She also dared to put contemporary women's perspectives on a stage, no filter by the male gaze. Her work told stories about women in power, in high society, in working class, passionate and sensual roles, and with androgynous features. And she developed what I call a feminist voice. Probably she never called it like that, but that's how I feel. And the final lesson I've learned from Nijinska is very relevant to the times we live in. You know, women need a platform to express their views on their own terms. And if that's taken away, we are silencing half of world's population, and our sector will become meaningless. the sector has moved on a lot from Nijinska's time, and I want to believe for the better, but there are things that we still need to do to make it better. So if my idea is like, if we apply these 5 lessons from Nijinska, I'm sure we can build a more inclusive and supportive sector where all the artists can develop their voice with honesty, bravery, and radical thinking. And there was, before I bring the dancers in, when I was working there in Chile, there was a journalist that came to observe a rehearsal, and she realized that the collaborators around were mixing up the name Nijinska Vatara, and she told me, okay, what's going on here? You know, what do you have in common with her? And I said, actually, far too much. Now that I know her far too much, but there is something that makes us quite different, and I think that her personality was really characterized by undeniable Russian sobriety, and my personality is more is characterized by an unmistakable Mediterranean exuberance, I would say. Apart from that, we're very similar. Anyway, it's time to welcome our dancers from the National Ballet of Chile, Ballet de Santiago, Gustavo Echevarría, Mariselva Silva, Felipe Arango, and of course, our wonderful pianist, Robert Clark. Welcome them to the stage. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to say a few words. So the extract that we are going to share with you corresponds to scene number 1 of the full-length ballet, and that's the moment when the young Nijinska, Mariselva. So the young Nijinska got her first contract in the Ballet Russe. So as you can imagine, you know, it was very exciting times. The brother Nijinski was also there. Lynn, you will tell me if it was the first contract as well. I don't know, but both of them were kind of at the earliest stages of the Ballet Russe, I believe, right?
Both charter members.
Yes, exactly. So, so Nijinska flourished as a dancer in that context, but also she found herself in that kind of love triangle between 2 masterminds, yeah? Sometimes maybe putting her in the shadow, observing, questioning. And so she had the unconditional love, fraternal love for her brother. There was this passionate love between Nijinsky and Diaghilev, and also the professional admiration that Nijinska had for Diaghilev as well, all leading into the mental health problems that Nijinska developed that actually ended her career. His career, Nijinsky's career. So Mariselva is going to be the bright and young Nijinska, Gustavo the exuberant and elegant Nijinsky, and Felipe the sleek and daring impresario Diaghilev. Yes, very good. So let me put this here aside. We're going to start. From the very beginning. So I'm going to rehearse a little bit, then we'll do part number 1, rehearse 2, yeah? So that's what we're going to do. Let's start from the very beginning. So this moment, Nijinska has been introduced to the stage, and you're just going to go and run to your brother, yes? With that pas de chat that we've got there. Dale ahí adelante. So we have, bam, and she runs. There we are, and you kiss her, that's it. Then the music starts. That's it, and Nijinska realizes that this is not my place to be. There we are. Pa-pa-pam. Okay, so here, yeah, kind of a look like challenging him, yeah? You're in power, Nijinsky. Gustavo, you're in power. And we have that hand and that look. Shoop, bam, 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 down. Continue, and really up with that agitation. There we go, and fast with that turn. And throw yourself to him. Bam. Okay, there we go, and fine. Okay, let's just have a look at that moment, just 1 second. Mariselva, if you can get a little bit closer when, Mr. Diaghilev, offer that hand to him a little bit, you know, give us a little bit of time, Gustavo, before you go and take him. And then I want to see that matching in the tan-tan-tan suspension. Thank you. and zam, and sustain, zap. No. Sorry, no, you see? No, ta, ta, ah, yeah, hold it a little bit longer. Don't go that far from them, Mariselda, please. There we go, soft hand, go, and there we are, beautiful, nice. Then we've got a lift that they'll see later. Let's continue into that one. There we are, matching that. Turning, jumping, and quick. And down. Oh, okay, until there. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Let's leave it there. Let's go now. We're going to move forward to the part that actually Lynn referred to that before, when Nijinski was choreographing L'après-midi d'un faune, and he was kind of molding his ideas on the sister of the young Nijinska. So let's go to that moment when you, Nijinski, were with your sister. Yeah, so this is quite light, yeah, feeling. It's like, yeah. So you go there. You imagine that they're in the living room thinking of Greek sculptures and kind of Nijinski. There we are. Okay, let's just go back to that one, you know, kind of a little bit more convinced and of your, yeah, and then you realize, no, that's a mistake. That really curved a little bit more there. Bam, go, and bam, bam, quick with that turn. There we go. And she kind of tries to copy. And again, correcting her. Yeah, that's a little bit. Also, it was quite challenging how to make sure that this doesn't read as a couple love relationship, right? So that's why there's some kisses in the face, here in the forehead. Yeah, continue. Pa, pa, pa. We can continue, ka, pa, 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 pa. Don't turn, standing up. And just want to see that last turn. Boom, and up. That one. Okay, okay, stand, go again, go again. How do you, zoop, before we go, show me that one. If we can, if we can, whatever that might mean. Yeah, there we go, and really, really, really make her fly, 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 and go to the double, so the basta, fam, yeah, nice. Very good, that's good. Okay, Rob, shall we do the first part, please? Thank you. From the very beginning, so we'll take it after the kiss. That's when the music starts. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. So this whole scene, this trio is all with the music by Debussy, and the whole production, we actually had a very beautiful selection of music, all music that are connected to Nijinska, to her life as a choreographer. So we have the Bolero de Ravel, by Ravel, sorry. She was the very first one in choreographing that one. We had music by Stravinsky, we have music by Prokofiev, Manuel de Falla, of course, being Spanish, I had to put Manuel de Falla, but she actually choreographed that piece when she was in Argentina. And Lynn, correct me anytime if I'm wrong, yeah? Yes. So the whole ballet is a homage to Nijinska also in her musical selection and taste. Okay, let's go to the next part. So this interruption, this is when Diaghilev comes in the middle of them, right? And Nijinska, bam, yeah? And then, yeah, okay. Yeah, so let's go again. So make sure, Marisol, that when you react, again, this is not your place to be. This is what you're going to feel, yeah? Thank you. Wow, we had that problem, right? Don't go too far from them. Don't go too far from there. Oh, okay, and stop there. Here, so a couple of things. So Marisol, that one is like, bure, bure, fast, za, tita, tita, up, yeah? Don't make it too flat. And here, Nijinsky, Gustavo, you can be a little bit more caring in the way you bring him up. Soft, that's it. Give us time to see that relationship is building. There is time there. Wow. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's kind of a gentle gesture. And then that pirouette, it's like pirouette, and we're going to go into the lift there. Get ready. Then, and run. Oh, yeah. Stop. Okay. Good. Can we go higher? It was very nice. So can we go higher? And then, Marisela, when you get there, you're not a puppet. Yeah, you make sure that there is, your body is still active, trying to reach, around. Yeah, there we go. Ole. No, didn't work. Once more. And last time, I promise. That was high. It will work. It has to work. We have the cameras, audience. There you are, and arch back, and continue. Let's take it from there, continue. Open, sliding. Okay, once more. Can we do, Felipe, can we make sure that we really open and slide her? Don't lift her up, yeah? If possible, she can be a little bit lower in that sliding. Arching back, here, ripple, and, that's it, nice. Are we doing 3, 2.5, 1, what do we do? As you wish. How many you want?
3 is
Venga, dale. Let's do 3. Then if it happens, they need to keep it. Okay, nice. And here, really looking for him. Yeah? What are you doing there? Okay, you're there. I'm here. Okay, so you're looking for him there. Yeah, ta, and then pam, ta, and that's it. Go stretch. Okay, can we make sure that you're a little bit further away from each other so there is an effort of trying to, grab him there. And enjoy it. Yes, nice. We have that one. Plie. Going to that one there. Kind of plie. So if possible, in that promenade, go up and then slowly plie on that demi-point. It's hard on the legs, I know. Yeah, take the pirouette footé. That's it, and then plies. Oh, nice, delicate there with that hand. That's it. that, and stop there. Okay, okay, that's good, that's good. Let's go now, before we run the other part, we have time. Let's go to this moment. There is a moment, beautiful moment in the music, where it's kind of the climax of the music, and that's also kind of the climax of their love, let's say. And that comes from, what is that first? Diaghilev's big jump, Jete, your lift, like those kind of 4 lifts that come up. Yes, exactly, from that kind of embrace, pam, and Jete. There we go. And we have, and, fa, that's it, and. Looking at Marisalva, that's it, and. That's it, and. Okay, once more, Urpa, not bad, not bad. Can we see that one again, Marisalva? Make sure that.
I have to walk a little bit.
Exactly, that's okay, yeah? But make sure that we see, and that looks kind of like a passing by lift, actually, for me, had a lot of meaning, you know, metaphorically. It's like, it's a woman lifting a man. It's a woman that can have responsibility as well, yeah? So I know that is like less than a second, but it means a lot. It really means a lot, so don't rush it. Thank you, let's try that one. Oh, nice, and then, well, let's do it. Let's do it with the sliding here. Let's do that one. Oh, nice. And let's go with the next one. Pa, 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 pa. Lifting up. Remember? Yeah, that's it. Can we do that? Lifting up there. Yeah, that lifting up there. So you are there for your brother. That's it. And then that's it. And stop there. Stop there. That's it. That's fine. Okay, very good. Shall we go to part number 2, which we're going to take from the moment when Diaghilev interrupts them both. Thank you. Very nice. This third part of the trio is when things start getting a bit darker. So this is the moment when Nijinski is gonna reject Diaghilev. Obviously, I'm concentrating years here in history, yeah, in a matter of 10 minutes. So as you can see, we started with this at the beginning of their contact with Diaghilev, then the beginning of the relationship between them, kind of this love triangle. And now what happens is Nijinski rejects Diaghilev, but that's also when he's gonna start showing symptoms of mental health as well. And that's how the trio finishes, and also kind of something there. So let's go from this moment, yeah, that rejection moment. So we've done the renversé, hold it a little bit longer there, just like quick, shum, bam, and then from there we go into that rejection, yeah. Here, make sure, that's it. Make sure that everything freezes for 2 seconds, yeah? So we don't know what's gonna happen. It looks like a love gesture, but actually we don't know what's gonna happen. And then we go into the boom, yeah? We're gonna do it for real. So Felipe, you tell us if it's real enough. Okay, yeah, okay, good. Get in there, a bit more. Let's go. I really like, the moment when he breathes out, that means that is real. So make him breathe out a bit more. Eso, dale. And then you come here, that's the drum of here. And then here, really take your time for that balance, yeah? You've taken that I think it'd be 1 second longer, very nice. Yeah, I think it'd be, it's like take it very slowly, like with a lot of volume. It's like somehow can give you you are empowered, you are the one that rejected him. So it's not a pity position, it's a very powerful movement. Yeah, and then he's gonna run into you. Let's do it again, and then we go into the lift. That comes afterwards. Yes, from the rejection. So hold your breath, Nijinska. That's it. That's it. Go. That's it. That's it. Nice. Yeah, we go to the floor. And then we're going to put the cane here in the middle. And now I want to see a little bit more about this, the duet, yeah? So let's take it actually from the floor when we have this shadow moment. So here I had to represent, that was quite challenging choreographically, how to represent that suddenly this figure that both of them loved was gonna disappear from their lives, yeah? So I developed an idea of kind of shadowing. So he's like a ghost of himself. And to do that, I did it with a couple of movements. So you reach to your sister, and he brings you down. There is kind of a last love gesture between them two. And then, those looks, a bit of that kind of paranoia. And then he leaves. And I would say, Gustavo, that's important. Felipe, don't overcorrect, So once he's there, let him disappear, so the memory of him is still there, yeah? Let's try again that. So you slide to him. He there. And then same thing happened. This is embrace, and then Mariselva. Yeah, and then Gustavo, this moment just taking behind them, so you are not in the forefront anymore. When you disappear, then you go to the back, kind of disappear in diagonal back, yeah, almost zigzagging back, and that's when you start developing the mental health problems. And let's go with that duet before we do it again. So he's gone of your life. Okay, good. Good. Again, good. So if we can do that jeté, ta, with the hips up, yeah, very flicky one, kind of more of a surprise. Eso, yeah, that's it. So here, both of you are kind of worried, yeah? He has disappeared of your life, so show that, the drama is like, he's not with us anymore, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's go. So you've just done the jeté, and then we go into those quick turns. And that's it. And nice. Okay, that one. Felipe, we can go a little bit deeper down, yeah? So otherwise it's too light. It has to be more weight down. That's it, yeah? And then that hand again, that hand is like kind of reaching out of, you know, I'm not gonna say asking for help, but kind of a memory of him, yeah? It's not just a vertebra. Let's go. That's it. Again. Again, nice. Nice. Again, yeah, that's good. Almost. Ahora sí. Okay, let's do that one once more. So yeah, so pam pam, hold it a second, don't tell us what's coming. And then we're going to that one. That was very nice. Look sharp. That's it. Okay, nice. Good, good, good. Okay, we're gonna do it till the end. The last part is when the mental health problem really appears and that paranoia. So we're gonna finish with that very intense solo. So shall we, Rob, please take it from part number 3. Dancers, if you can get ready. This is the very last part of the trio. Yeah, so we take it from that lift. Thank you, Rob, whenever you're ready. So imagine this is just 10 minutes of the ballet. Imagine the full length. Thank you, everyone, and Chloe, pass it on to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chloe.
What a privilege to be joined by Mariselva, Felipe and Gustavo, all the way from Chile, to have them here in London. What a treat. Now our final rehearsal will be of Les Noces, rehearsed once again by Dame Monica Mason, who's going to be joined by Nicolas Tranard, with dancers from the Royal Ballet School. But first, to introduce us to the ballet, please welcome back Lynn Garafola. Come on into the centre. We'll put you in our prime spot.
In the spotlight.
Okay.
We're going to now see a very different ballet from the one we saw just a few moments ago. Les Noces, or The Wedding, Svadebka in Russian, was choreographed a year before Les Biches. But it's hard to think of two ballets that were so totally different. Les Noces was Nijinska's first major work after leaving the young Soviet Union. And it bears many of the sense of a work choreographed under the influence of constructivism, of modernism, and the new music. The composer was Igor Stravinsky, as we've already said. It was a very complicated score, very percussive, as were many scores from that period. It was also a score that included a very odd assemblage of music for solo pianos, virtuoso pianos, percussion, as well as a chorus, a full Russian chorus, and various soloists. So it was an extraordinary big work, and it was also a very grim work. It was about a wedding, except it wasn't a wedding in which there's any joy. It was in 4 tableaux, the bride. No, that's not quite where we see the bride, but the bride is going to be married off. She's practically strangled by her friends in her long braids. We see the groom surrounded by his friends. A quiet moment when the bride and her mother have a farewell scene, neither touches, and then finally this extraordinary scene at the end of the wedding itself, where the bride and groom are just seated above, observing what is happening, and then eventually they're locked in a room with a bed. As some of the French reviewers said in 1923, this is nothing that's going to make marriage attractive. It was a work where Nijinska herself thought of it not as a narrative work, but as a work that was a choreographic concerto. That's what she actually called it. And we see it being moving in this direction of abstraction, of which Nijinska was one of the leading proponents very, very early on, subsequently along with Massine and eventually Balanchine. So I'm not going to say any more because I think you'll know what you want to see when you see the choreography. So now, Monica.
So with that introduction done, thank you so much there, Lynn. Robert Clark, still at the piano. I must welcome back Dame Monica Mason, together with Nicolas Tranard and students of the Royal Ballet School. Enjoy.
Okay, well, the Royal Ballet School, of course, Nicolas Tranard and also David Pickering have been rehearsing the students. It was decided that we would break it down a little bit to give you some idea of the complexity of the music, because dancers are extraordinarily used to sort of columns of telephone numbers. And so I'll let Nikki explain how she's arranged it with them. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. So first of all, we're just really grateful that Rob, our fantastic pianist, has actually transposed the music, because it's actually for percussion, a huge chorus with soloists, and also for pianos. So he's actually arranged this on one piano, so that's amazing. So normally a ballet is, the majority it's done in eights. So we're going to do a little demonstration of just how difficult this music is. I mean, it's different again with an orchestra, with the percussion, but on the piano, we thought it might be interesting if you heard it broken down with the dancers actually singing it in their heads, saying it, whilst they actually rehearsed it. Okay, so why don't we go from the top? We're not going to do it with Rob for the beginning. So I'll give you a 9 in, and I'll try and get the tempo right so it's not too fast. And then you try and keep in the rhythm as well if you can. So 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're just going to stop there. That's the first half. Really good. It does tend to increase in speed as the anxiety gets going. So I think the key is, and it's much, much easier when you have the pianist to stick to. Stylistically, it's very different, as you can see. I mean, I think for the girls, it's more different for the ladies, because it's in parallel. So every day, we work in turnout. It's into the ground. Every day, we're taught to pull up. And it's very grounded. The whole thing is grounded. So parallel, into the ground, and also the arms have to be, the hands are like this. So there's, stylistically, you can see through the fingers. So you have to place the hands here and here. And again, the intention has to be very clear with the eyes. There is no emotion. But there's an energy behind the eyes, so there's an intention of the way you do it. It's a very serious time. It's a wedding, as has been explained. And nobody wants to be the next chosen bride. So it's very important that nobody shows any emotion. Is that right?
Yes,
Dame Monica?
Also, I think the other thing to say for everybody to feel that it's a ritual. So that as you're in this group of people, normally the stage would have 48 people on it doing what you've just seen 8 people do. So you're very aware of a very crowded wedding reception, but it's the feeling of the community and the feeling of togetherness, and actually I think that also helps to give you the weighted feeling to the movement, because you can feel the whole, almost the stage is the ground, and you can feel the feet on the earth, I think.
And the other thing I didn't say was also for the feet. So you have to activate the arch, but no pointed toes. Again, very different from classical ballet. So it's difficult. It feels very odd to stretch the arch and then not continue it to the ends of the toes, in point shoes especially, I think, doesn't it? Can I just say something before we do it, the second bit?
Yes.
Just, you have to make sure you're in a line. So really make sure that you keep in a line, gentlemen next to the women. Yes, okay.
Yeah. I think we're ready to go.
Should we do
music.
the next half with the
Let's
music?
do the first half with the music.
I'll give you a 9 in. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good, very good.
Yes, well done.
Well done.
I think also what is unusual is that you're very seldom called upon to dance in a line like this. You can't actually see what your mates are doing. And Nikki and I remember very well because at one time I was the leading guest at the party, the girl, and then Nikki did it later on, taught by Christopher Newton, who's sitting here, who was also in the original Noces in the 60s. He and I were in it together. We both worked with, experienced working with Nijinska. And then later on, in the 80s, 90s, Noces comes back into the repertoire, and Christopher is teaching Nikki. And there is something absolutely terrifying when you're alongside your friends like this, but you're not sure if you're actually doing the right step because you can't see them, and you know you're not supposed to be doing this. So there's a little moment there. Yes, poor Emile. Yeah, but that happens. That happens. That's called that's real life. Yes. I think that one of the things that one used to think, at least I did, standing on the side, there was a count of something like 36 or something, a very long count, where we stood in a position doing nothing before we joined in again. And halfway through 36, the count, you actually go shopping or you speak to a friend on the phone. You stop being able to concentrate. And it kind of comes from over-concentrating so that you actually stop concentrating. And this is what happens. So, not easy. Let's go on to the second half.
Okay. All right, I'll give you a 3 in. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sorry, can we do this without the... Yes, no, that's fine. That's fine. So, again, yes, and just try and keep it, don't accelerate if you can. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. Good. All right. Well done. That's really good. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but there's a step that repeats. The first time it's a 9, and the second time it's a 10. So, I mean, you just get thrown all the time, so you have to keep it going. And with the orchestra, well, as I said, the percussion, the singers, it sounds different again. So it's the only way is just but to keep counting. So well done. Good. So should we try that with the, yes, with the music? Is there anything you'd like to say, Dame Monica?
No, not at the moment, no.
No, good. All right.
That's it.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3. We'll save the bow for later.
Take a bow.
Good. I don't know if you've noticed, but the gentleman's legs aren't as stretched as they sometimes are in classical ballet, and this is a stylistic feature that they are meant to be slightly relaxed, in case you're thinking, why aren't they stretching their legs? Good. Just make sure of the side arm on the going, ba, 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 that bit there, yes. And also when you're doing the attitudes here, just make sure that the legs, again, you're just stretching the arch and really making that shape in the leg. That's it. And really keeping that focus on the up to the down. Well, I think that's really good. I think, again, your lines were much better. Let's start the whole thing further back, because I think it comes down stage too much. If we start further back, and just when you're going through, gentlemen, 1, 2, if you can be quieter on the feet, not stamp, stamp, but really onto it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Good. All right.
I think we should go from the top.
Shall we go from the top?
Let's show the whole
Let's
thing.
do it.
Yeah.
All right. So you make sure your spacing at the beginning is good. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you.
I just wanted to say.
Oh, please do come on.
I just wanted to say that
Come with me, centre spot.
I think, Nikki, that was about, we reckon that was about 8 or 10 hours of rehearsal to get. Not even, to get that. So can you imagine what it's like to try and put the whole of the fourth movement together and then the whole ballet with that score? So this is why a ballet like Les Noces takes weeks and weeks and weeks of rehearsal.
We can see why. Thank you so much for showing us what you did.
Thank
Thank you so much. I'm sure you'll agree that we could watch that for much longer, but unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. Now, please join me in thanking all of our guests who joined us for this very special insight into the legacy of Nijinska. It's been, of course, fascinating to hear the reflections on such a significant choreographer and to see her work being brought to life here in London. Our huge thanks go to choreographer Avatara for curating such an extraordinary event. And of course, I need to say a special thanks once again to the Teatro Municipal National Opera de Chile, the Anglo-Chilean Society, the Embassy of Chile in London, and of course the Royal Ballet and the Royal Ballet School. Thank you to all of our audiences, both here in the Claw Studio in London and also to our audiences wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Goodbye.
And thank you to Rob.
And thank you to Rob, of course. Thank you.